This is Vanesa Brashier, owner of Bluebonnet News, and welcome back to Bluebonnet News Headlines and Heartlines. Thank you for joining me today for another episode where we talk about the stories shaping our communities and the people behind them. Today, my guest is David Glenn Williams, Republican candidate for the 75th State District Court of Texas. We're going to talk about his background, his vision for the court, and what he hopes to bring to Liberty County if elected. Now, I didn't bring my reading glasses today, so I hope I get all these questions right. But let's jump right in, okay, Glenn? Glenn, thank you for joining me.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity.
Let's start by letting our listeners get to know you a little bit better. For those who do not know you, can you share a little bit about your background and what led you into the field of law?
I got in the field of law by accident. I went through a divorce and a child custody matter, and my fiance then decided that I would go to law school. That was not my choice, but as it turned out, it was a blessing because I found my true calling in life, I think.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
Let's see, that would have been, I guess we must have started law school in 2000. I believe that's right.
Yeah.
99, 2000.
Yeah. So you've been an attorney now for 20 something years?
21 years
21
in
years.
practice.
All right. So what pivotal experience shaped your desire to serve as judge of the 75th State District Court?
That's an excellent question. Well, probably Judge Morefield would probably be the one. He really stood out to me for his standards of excellence, his adherence to the law. Frankly, I've been in a lot of courts, and not all judges share the same standards. He really made a difference, really made an impression upon me, and his departure is something that I took very strongly.
Very knowledgeable man, isn't he?
Extremely,
Yeah.
Extremely. We're blessed to have him.
Yeah. So why did you decide to run for the 75th State District Court at this point in your career?
Well, I've got about 20 years left, I think, and I can help my clients as a private attorney. As a judge, I can help a lot of people, both victims and those accused. And it's important to me to have a fair and biased court that is efficient and accountable, because that's really my greatest stressor in my career, is not being able to achieve for my clients what I think the system promises.
Okay. And so how would you describe your judicial philosophy?
Well, my judicial philosophy is don't let the position go to your head. You're not exalted by God to preside over the general populace. Be an umpire. Be fair and unbiased, and be humble, and be accountable to the voters, and also adhere to the Constitution and the laws.
So how do you balance adherence to the law with fairness and compassion?
That's an excellent point. I think that the laws are hard rules. There's discretion built in, and I think that's the art of law, the art of being a judge, is that the law can be very harsh sometimes and inflexible. You need to fall back on your values and understand that factors change. There's certain characteristics about certain cases that may dictate deviating to a certain degree within your discretion to seek out what justice requires under the circumstances.
What qualities do you think are essential for a person sitting on the 75th State District Court bench?
You have to have a very calm demeanor. You have to have a lot of integrity as well. You have to behave at all times as though you're being watched. And you have to be very unemotional. You have to be comfortable with making decisions that you personally do not agree with, because that's what an umpire does. You may want one team to win, but you cannot let that interfere in your performance. You have to be very unbiased, and you have to make those hard decisions.
Where did you go to law school?
South Texas College of Law in Houston.
A lot of the attorneys in our area have gone to that school. It must be a really good school.
It is. It's primarily known as a trial school, where they lean heavily on actual courtroom trial training, more so than the theory of law.
Okay. So, what do you see as the most significant challenge facing the 75th State District Court right now?
Right now, the most significant challenge would be the dockets. We've got a large backlog of of defendants that are awaiting trial that are in our jails, and unfortunately has exceeded the jail capacity. So we're having to house these folks in different counties, and it's costing us a tremendous amount of money to house them in other counties. So we really need to focus on the 75th needs to be trying a lot of cases as quickly as possible and moving the dockets.
How do you move it along quicker, though? You have a limitation on your calendar.
Correct.
So is there a way for you to...
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I keep catching him mid-coffee.
Right.
Mid-coffee.
Well, so there is, and there's a lot to that. You would have to structure your dockets in such a way as to allow for that. The other thing, obviously, is would have to have the cooperation of the public to appear at jury duty. Be patient with us. Allow us to pick multiple juries from the same pool. Mm-hmm. That would be easier. We could get people in, pick the juries, get them out of there as quickly as possible, schedule them to return, hold one jury back for the trial at the moment, and if necessary, share leftover veneer persons with the 253rd Court if they're picking a jury on the same day. To make
It's hard getting people to come for jury duty.
It is, but it's absolutely critical.
It's become a real problem, though.
It has, and we want people of all backgrounds. The more diverse the jury is, the more effective our courts can be.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of times it's the same people that show up.
How do you prevent an attorney from stalling a case and like dragging their feet in order to maybe they're not prepared? How do you avoid that when you're on the bench?
Well, a lot of it's familiarity. There are a great number of attorneys that you do not have to worry about. They're always working on their cases. You get to know who they are. Likewise, there are some attorneys that do delay because there is a strategic advantage involved in that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes your client can rehabilitate themselves to a certain degree. Maybe they are successful on their conditions of bond during their period they're out on bond. But what you really have to do is you have to draw, just to be very careful with your cases. Keep your finger on the pulse of the case. Take good notes at dockets. Know where your cases are at. Do whatever you can do as a judge to facilitate the disclosure of any relevant material the state may have, assist in any way in getting all of the necessary elements taken care of so that you can get it ready for trial, get it on the trial docket, and get the case in front of a jury.
So speaking of that, what would you say would be your area of expertise when it comes to the law? Would it be criminal cases? Because you've done a lot of those.
Yes. I've dedicated my practice to criminal law. At this point, it's literally 100%. Excuse me. It's 100% of my caseload and has been for several years now, because that's where my passion is. I love trial law. That's what when you find passion in what you do, that is a beautiful thing. And I'd never anticipated that I would find passion in any profession, but trial law is it's almost like preparing for battle.
So there's several people that are running for this seat.
Right.
Would you say that you have the most trial experience?
That's that's a good question. I'd say.
You want to drink a sip of coffee before you answer? Because I keep interrupting
It's first
him.
thing in the morning?
Yeah, first thing in the morning. Yeah.
Experience is an interesting thing because there's different types of experience related to trial law. You can have, like I have, experience in trial. I get better every time I walk in the courtroom. I learn from my wins, and I learn primarily from my losses. But you have other attorneys that simply, they may try a lot of cases and never learn anything. They repeat the same mistakes. They don't evolve.
And sometimes, no matter how much you prepare, you're going to lose a case
Correct.
because the client has done something that is...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And certainly victory is not always your... victory can be a not guilty verdict. A victory could be a more just punishment than what was offered. But I do think there is... Experience is one thing, but quality of experience is more important. And I've got a very high quality experience in the courtroom. I know how to try a good case, I know how to prepare a good case, I know how to scheme a good case, and I can execute in the courtroom.
Yeah. Would you say that you have good standing amongst your peers?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about what are, if elected, what are your top priorities for improving how that court operates?
Number one is efficiency and accountability. That's got to be number one, because in private practice, that's number one. Because it serves the primary purpose of my practice here, which is to serve my clients. Efficiency and accountability in the court will serve the defendants best and in the same way, it will serve victims the best. Fast, efficient, just, fair. Those are all things that come from being efficient and keeping your eye on what's important with the court. Not the prestige of the position, but the responsibility and the burden of the position.
Can you share an example of a tough legal decision you've had to make and what guided your judgment?
Tough legal decisions. Where I stand in the defense sector right now, the toughest decision is to say, I know you're innocent. I believe you're innocent, and I think that the evidence shows that you're innocent, but there's not enough evidence to prove that you're innocent.
Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it?
And that's a very difficult thing. I've had people say, well, if I plead guilty to this and I take this deal, I'm lying. I'm swearing my oath, and I'm having to lie and say that I did something I didn't do, only because I'm afraid if I roll the dice and I try to prove my innocence that there's not enough there to exonerate me. That's horrible. Mm-hmm. And that's something that is very important to me as a judge. And it's one of the reasons we need a diverse jury pool to draw from, is because that would be less and less of a problem. We don't want only the jurors that come to jury duty that are here to convict. That's the wrong mentality, and unfortunately we see it quite a bit. Yeah. We do have a lot of fair jurors, but it is very difficult to conceptualize the principles of presumption of innocence and beyond a reasonable doubt. They seem easy when you say them, but to put them into practice when you're in a jury room of 12 people and people are arguing and it's 5:30 and everybody wants to go home and it's Friday.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's rough. So how do you ensure that both sides receive a fair trial as a judge?
Simply follow the law without favor. That's it. That is the absolute bottom line.
So what steps do you take to stay current on the new Texas laws? Because every couple of years we have new laws that come out. So we do, and that's every attorney has to stay up on that as well as do the courts. So we have what are called continuing legal education seminars where you can pick the topic, but usually within your major CLEs there will be a case law update, right? And then we also through the Texas Bar Association and TCDLA, we have regular legislative updates where a colleague will summarize a list of new cases or new laws and how they anticipate they'll affect our profession. So let's move over to how the bench impacts public safety. So what do you believe what role do you believe the court should play in addressing crime trends or repeat offenders? Because we do see some of those where they've been through the court system a few times. Right.
That depends a lot upon the impact on public safety. If we're talking about a person who's maybe addicted to a narcotic, that they're not burglarizing homes, they're not robbing people.
They're a danger to themselves more than anything.
Correct. We need to be responsible. Obviously, we want to try to help those folks if we can. Not all of them want our help, but with regard to the people that are harming folks, whether it be children or women or elderly, there's a place for them.
Okay.
They're not going to like it.
What are your thoughts on diversion courts, mental health programs, or rehabilitation-focused approaches? That
is one of the most dear subjects to my heart within the context of running for court. This position, because right now we're warehousing people that have mental health problems. We're sticking them in cages because we don't have a better plan or because our state doesn't want to spend the money to do the right thing by them. And I've seen it happen too many times, and I think mental health is it's a much larger issue than most people understand it to be. Obviously, being in the criminal justice sector, I ran into it more, but they're everywhere. They're all around us. Some of them are running large businesses and have anxiety and ADHD problems, and they're drinking. These are our DWI folks, very responsible people. They go to church with you, but they drink because they have undiagnosed mental health issues. They get a DWI. And
plus running a business can be a lot of pressure.
Extremely, yes. We have people that unfortunately suffer from schizophrenia and things like this, and they're going to fail. They're not going to be perfect on supervision. You can put them on supervision. They're going to fail, so we have to anticipate that failure, and we have to have a certain amount of compassion for that. And I do have, and it's certainly a top topic for another day, but I have a very, very good plan, I believe, for handling those folks in a way that I think most of the citizens of this county would be very proud of.
Okay, with compassion, but also making sure they're not a public danger.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So, what moment in your upbringing or early career had the greatest influence on the type of judge that you hope to be?
Well, I tell you, there's a story I tell in trial of when I was a kid. I was accused of flicking a piece of mud onto some kids that were walking past in the hallway while I was in class. My mother was a teacher at the time, and of course I was taken to the principal's office, and I thought, well, I had no fear because my mother, when it comes to defending her children, is fearless.
And for those who don't know who his mother is, she's the former county clerk, Paulette Williams.
Yes, and a former school teacher, and certainly not afraid of corporal punishment. So but I knew that she'd be there in the principal's office to defend me. And when I heard her voice in the secretary's room, and I turned to look as she walked through the principal's door, and I could tell by the look in her eye that there was no presumption of innocence. And so I used that in my trials.
We've all had those moments
right,
as parents.
Right. I could tell there was no presumption of innocence. So I always come back to that when I think about those principles of beyond reasonable doubt and presumption of innocence.
Yeah, I used to get the calls about my children sometimes. Miss Brashier, I have Jada, Sierra. No, well, it usually wasn't Sierra. Jada or Alexia.
Jada,
yeah. No, mostly Alexia.
Oh,
and she's now a school teacher, which is funny. Yeah, no, she just had way too much attitude as a young girl. Who has been a mentor or guiding figure in your legal journey, and what lessons did they instill in you?
Well, that's a good question. Probably not a single person. I've been fortunate to be around a lot of attorneys, and it seems like the greater they are, the more they're willing to share, which is one of the wonderful things about our profession. There are so many amazing, talented people in our profession, and they are very happy to share lessons and advice and guidance, and I've relied on probably dozens, easily dozens.
So it's not just one, it's
not
several.
Just one. No, ma'am. There's so many. It is a wonderful profession in that regard.
So how do you view the role of a district judge when it comes to maintaining impartiality in a small community where so many people know each other?
That's a good question. That is because you could see family members in there. Certainly, if they're too familiar with you, obviously you have to recuse yourself because there's a point where if you have any doubts in your heart as to whether you're leaning one way or the other.
Yeah.
I always like to tell people it's like if you're a referee and it's the Cowboys and the Redskins and you're a big Cowboys fan.
Yeah. And you don't need to be
right.
Yeah.
There's the ball. They throw the ball in the end zone and the ball hits the receiver's hands and he falls into the end zone. But the question is, did he have possession of the ball? Right. And you could say it was a catch, or you could say it's not a catch, but you're a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the problem, right?
So there is going to be a little bit of a bias toward the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Although you got to be careful to say you're a Cowboys fan in the Houston area.
I'll tell no lies.
You might get in trouble.
I'll tell no lies.
Yeah. My sister is a huge Houston Texans fan. She's even gone to their opening day stuff, when they're doing their. It's ridiculous.
I tell people I was an Oilers fan too, but you can't be.
She was
too.
You
could be an Oilers fan and a Cowboys fan when I was a kid, but you cannot be a Cowboys fan and a Texans fan now.
No, they don't go together, do they?
They do not.
It's just weird, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, so let's see. What does judicial integrity mean to you, and how would you uphold it on the bench?
I don't think integrity changes in regard to any profession. It's simply doing the same things in private that you would do in public. Always maintain fairness, impartiality, and adherence to the law.
Yeah. I would compare that to making sure integrity is returning your shopping cart to the cart corral when no one's watching. When no one's watching.
That's a very good example. It is.
Yeah, just to make sure that you're doing things the right way.
Right.
So how do you let's see, many people struggle to understand legal proceedings. How would you help make the process more transparent and less intimidating? It can be intimidating walking into a courtroom.
It is. It really is. And I think
and that one especially.
It is. Most of my clients, it's such a difficult thing too. I handle it from my perspective. I tell them, look, if I was going to work with you, a lot of these folks work in factories or refineries or whatnot, and I'm there, and you say, hey, I'm going to take you under my wing. I'm not going to let anything harm you. I'm not going to let you get into trouble. I'm not going to let you make any wrong moves. That's what I tell them. I say, hey, you're with me now. I do this every day. I'm not going to let you do something that's going to harm your your position. We're going to make all the right moves. I'm going to give you the knowledge and my wisdom and my guidance to allow you to make the best decisions possible for your legal interests. So you do have to rely a lot on the attorneys for that. But from the judicial perspective, I think a part of the initial arraignment is maybe just to reassure them. You're here. You're accused. Right? As far as this court's concerned, you are an innocent person, and you will remain so until and unless you're found to be guilty, or you plead guilty. And that's the way it should remain throughout the process.
I've watched so many life-changing events happen in that courtroom, especially where mothers have hugged their sons for the last time before they go off to serve on death row, or
Yes.
not death row so much, just a life sentence, where after they've committed a murder.
Right.
And it may be the last time their mother actually has a physical hug with her child.
It is.
It's heartbreaking.
It is, and there's always more than one victim.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
The families.
are just it's terrible watching. As a parent, your instinct to protect and safeguard your child. You've got the parents of the victim, and you've got the parents of the accused, and it's there's no real winners.
I think one of the hardest trials I sat through in that courtroom was the one that involved the murder of the guy that killed a young lady out in Raywood when she was waiting for a train to pass.
That was one of the most senseless killings I've ever.
It was, and the mother's, that she got up and spoke about how it had impacted her family, but he just sat there emotionless, and people don't realize what goes down in that courtroom and the huge decisions that are being made there. Do you feel like you would have a sense of humility every time you walked in?
You do. You have to. That's why you have to be so careful. I think the last thing you do as a judge before you walk in that courtroom is you have to kind of do a self-check. Where's my mind? Where are my emotions? There may be a day where you say, I'm not going to render a verdict today.
Yeah.
I'm not in the frame of mind. Maybe what you see in the evidence, maybe something that happens in the courtroom incenses you, causes such an emotional reaction that you're really not fit to make the decision at that moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to sleep on it.
Yeah.
But
I've seen that though.
Right.
Like even with, I've seen people come before Morefield when he was on the bench, and he fussed at them they had disappeared after a jury selection or something.
Right.
And he was furious about it.
I remember that case. I remember
You remember that?
I do.
And he fussed at that person, and I thought he was going to put the guy in jail, but then the next day the guy came back, and the judge had a different approach to the way he spoke to him, and it was more fatherly.
Right.
And it was, he needed both sides of that, though. He needed to be the tough judge and then be the one that says, look.
Correct.
So,
it kind of goes back to our, philosophy as a good parent. You discipline out of love and compassion, not out of anger or hatred.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do. There are absolutely instances where 99 years to life is the appropriate sentence. Yes. And we all know those.
Yes.
We all know those are the easy
the murder
ones.
cases.
Right. Those are the easy ones.
Yeah.
It's and we know the ones where a person made a mistake, had a bad day, and there was no permanent harm.
Yeah.
We know those. It's the stuff in between.
Yeah.
You have to turn the temperature up a little bit as they get more significant in their impact, and then also obviously for repeated offenses.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of patience for people that have committed crimes against children.
No, you can't.
At all.
You can't.
My mama instincts kick in.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So many people struggle to understand all the legal proceedings that go on. I've been a reporter for 25 years, and I still struggle at times to keep up with everything that's going on.
Right.
So how would you help make the process more transparent?
That's a good question. Make it more transparent. That is a difficulty. So much of what goes on in the courtroom is procedural. There's a good reason for it. Those rules are there for a reason. At some point, it went badly. They made a procedural rule to fix that. There are a lot of delays. You hear a lot of problems with delays and things like this. But I think sometimes just a simple explanation. Sometimes I've had Judge Morefield, for instance, Judge Kane. A lot of times we'll say, look, okay, we're going to continue this case because, of whatever reason, there's a procedural issue, or there's a witness issue, or there's a discovery issue, or something, has happened. And you see the relief on their faces just to have the judge, it's a it's an explanation out of compassion, and also it seems to, restore their faith that, hey, this judge is a fair judge. I'm going to get a fair trial, and maybe my attorney's doing the right thing. The state is obviously on board. So yeah, I think that helps. Sometimes a kind word from the judge or an explanation from the judge can help a lot.
What do you believe is the most misunderstood aspect of district courts for the general public?
Oh, that you can end up there.
What?
The most misunderstood aspect of the district court is that you could be there too. You don't have to commit a crime to end up in district court.
Oh, okay.
For instance, sexual
you can end
assault.
up in district court sometimes for a divorce.
Well, certainly so. But one of the things that I deal with a lot is a person with proper motive can say, "You sexually assaulted me." Mm. Okay, how do you prove that didn't happen? You can't.
Yeah.
But that's all it takes. You let an underage person accuse you of a sexual assault by contact, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Even if it didn't happen.
Even if it didn't happen. You face arrest, indictment.
Embarrassment.
Humiliation. The destruction of your reputation.
Loss of job, maybe.
Loss of job. Your family may or may not support you.
Yeah.
The complainant's family will turn against you.
Yeah.
It's something
very serious.
You could be completely innocent. No one is ever in a position where they cannot end up in the district court.
I think that in those cases, though, the person who made the outcry and it was a lie deserves some sort of serious punishment.
It's a Class B misdemeanor.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't
you
it?
can make an accusation that ruins someone.
Right. And I wish that I know that I think that our most prosecutors would agree that they probably would enjoy more discretion in the vetting process. But there's things that you just can't do. Like, a lot of people say, well, why not give them a polygraph? Well, you can't. They're not allowed to do that.
But polygraphs aren't 100% anyway.
Correct. But as a vetting tool,
yeah.
You kind of wonder, what would be the harm in that? Of course, obviously there's so many. There's more truthful allegations, unfortunately, than untruthful allegations.
Mm-hmm.
You never want a child to be hurt, but so there's always your balance in that.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of the coin is well, here's this poor person that has been through horrible, unspeakable crimes, and now you're going to strap her to a polygraph.
Yeah.
What a horrible thing. But by the same token, here's this innocent person in another case where
that might be accused that didn't do anything,
exactly.
and their life is on the line.
Very difficult.
And it might be something petty and personal.
Absolutely.
A vendetta. And people think, teenagers aren't capable of that, but that's wrong.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about a time when you had to work through a difficult conflict or disagreement professionally, and what it taught you?
Conflict or disagreement. Let's see. Excuse me. Wow. Well, that's a tough one. We deal. That's what we deal in is conflict.
Yeah, conflict resolution every day.
It is
24/7.
Probably the biggest one is what I mentioned earlier about having that conversation with a person that is innocent, that you truly believe is innocent, and evidence just looks bad. There's no direct evidence, but the circumstantial evidence just looks terrible, and you have to have that conversation with them. Look, I believe you. I don't want this for you, and I wish there's something I could do to take it away, but I'm worried for your well-being. Mm-hmm. If we go to trial, I'm worried for your well-being. I think you should seriously consider, taking this deal.
What do you think sets you apart from your opponents in the race?
What sets me apart is what has allowed me to build the practice that I have, which is that I, to my own detriment, put my clients first in every sense. Mm-hmm. It's something I can't really help, and I don't know why. It's like why some racehorses run and some just compete.
Yeah.
It's
some just love to run.
Right. And so I think that's a big thing. And I've had a lot of questions from law enforcement officers about, well, how are you going to switch gears? And instead of defending folks, be impartial, and I think it's just the simple answer is that same drive to be excellent, to be good at what you do and to do the best job that you can do. I think it just goes with you.
What do you want people to remember, voters to remember, about you most from this interview as they head to the polls in March for the primary?
Oh, that's fair. Well, you hear a lot of things in politics about honesty and integrity and truth and justice and fairness, and everybody's got a slogan. I've got a slogan. I don't know what they mean exactly.
What is your slogan?
Oh, it was politics for all, justice. Politics for none, justice for all.
Politics for none, justice for all.
And I don't know that any of that makes any sense, any difference anyway. It's all words. Politics is the game of making people believe something that maybe is not necessarily true.
Yeah.
I think probably what I'd like is if in a dream world is I would like for the voters to be able to talk to some of my clients, any of my clients, to some of the folks that I've worked with and against the law enforcement, some of the folks around the courthouse.
Your peers.
Absolutely. When you talk to the people that know, they all know that I have this passion. They all know that I've got this drive. And, so maybe one thought is Google reviews. Take a look at the Google reviews on each of the candidates. Anything, at least, what's today, the 5th?
Yes, it's December the 5th.
Anything prior to December 5th. Take a look at the Google reviews, the number of them, the quality of them.
Yeah.
And that may, but that's what I would like. And certainly it's not, I guess, entirely possible, but the things that set me apart are very difficult to prove to people that haven't been around me or seen me in action, or so unfortunately that's not possible. But I'd say reach out and make an informed decision. Talk to people that know me or that have worked with me or that I've worked for, so they can tell you exactly what you need to know.
Oh, I've had 2 daughters that worked in the courthouse, and they dealt with you, and they loved dealing with you because they felt like you were respectful to them. I know I do appreciate that coming from you. You've had a wonderful family. Yeah,
I really
thank
do.
you.
All your daughters are wonderful.
They are the lights of my life. Well, we wrap up every Headlines and Heartlines with fun questions.
Oh, good.
Okay?
I like that.
So these are just rapid fire questions, and you just give short responses, okay?
You're asking an attorney to give short responses?
Yes. Favorite Texas meal?
Fried chicken.
Where's the best place to get it locally? Locally.
I like crispy, hearts, crunchy Popeyes.
Popeyes. You like spicy?
Always.
Yeah. They have good beans and rice.
They do.
One word people would use to describe you.
Stubborn.
Okay. A book or movie you think everyone should experience at least once?
A movie?
I'm surprised you're not like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Hey,
that is a good one.
12 Angry Men, I think.
That is a great one.
I love 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah, I saw the play of it when John Boy from the Waltons was one of the actors in it.
Right.
Yeah, it was in the Houston area.
We actually watched that in law school.
It's a great movie. And you see all the complex decision making that goes on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not far from the truth.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men. If you weren't in the legal field, what job would you choose?
Evidently politics.
Oh, that'd be the last one for me.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what you want to go with?
No, but I'd probably maybe something with people.
People.
Probably maybe sales.
Yeah.
I like people.
You like dealing with people?
I do.
Okay. So what is your way to unwind at the end of a day?
I've got a Belgian Malinois that waits for me every day.
Oh, isn't that the best?
As soon as I come in the door, he's there for therapy.
They're happy to see you every time.
Amanda is right beside him every time, so I get a hug and I get 2 hugs.
A hug from Amanda,
Yeah,
and then
a kiss from each.
a kiss from each.
And then usually I'll just kind of sit down and just decompress a little bit and pet Loki. And
His name's Loki?
Yes, and let Amanda tell me about her day.
Okay. Was he named after the character Loki?
He was. And
Oh.
very fitting.
Okay.
He earned that name.
So you're a fan of Thor and all those movies?
No, not really. I'm
Really?
really
No?
not. No, I very rarely watch movies, and only if they have a unique plot.
That's when I first saw Idris Elba.
Right.
Was in the Thor movies, and I'm like, he's fantastic.
Yeah, great actor.
Yeah, and then I saw him in Luther and all the other ones, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's the
He's
best.
very talented.
Yes,
he is.
yes. So one thing you never start your day without?
Never start my day without some form of workout.
Okay.
So I work.
And coffee, apparently.
Well, coffee only on days where I don't go to the gym.
Okay. All right. So you like to go to the gym?
Yeah,
You start early?
I do.
Super
I
early.
get up at 4 a.m, hit the gym by 5, work out 2.5 hours
Before you come here.
before I come here.
And that you feel like that powers you through the day?
Absolutely. At my age, I'm 54 now, it's a necessity.
Yeah.
To stay strong and stay alert and fit and aware and energetic.
So what is a small habit that you have that makes a big difference in your life?
Small habit.
Do you pray?
I do. Unfortunately, I find myself saying little prayers through the day.
Yes.
More so than one big one. It's more or less, it's the little.
That's okay. God likes those little conversations.
Right? Little transactional prayers.
Yeah.
Often in the form of a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think prayer has to be formal. I think you can just say, thank you, Lord, for... Sometimes I thank God for hot water in the mornings. I'll be like, thank you, Lord, for hot water today.
Or a hot cup of coffee.
Thank you, Lord, for the little small things.
Or waking up and there's a nice cool breeze.
The little comforts.
Yes.
Yeah, the little comforts. If you win this election, what's the first thing you're going to focus on?
I need to get myself up to speed as much as possible on the more specific aspects of being of executing that job, obviously. But number two, to meet with Judge Kane. He's a great resource, and really Judge McDonald down in Chambers County as well. A great resource, lots of experience there, and because that's another major focus is to try to coordinate with the 253rd as closely as possible. We're these are two courts in the same county with the same goals, and they need to be working hand in hand.
If you could meet any person in history, of course, besides Jesus, probably, because everyone would say Jesus, who would it be?
Interesting.
That's a hard one.
There's so many.
After visiting Thomas Jefferson's house, I would say Thomas Jefferson's on my list.
It'd have to be.
Yeah.
There's so many, though, great people. I guess, I've always, at least in the legal field, Anton Scalia, I thought was an interesting character.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, he just was a guy. He's like the Ronald Reagan of the judiciary when I was growing up.
Steady,
charismatic, outspoken, unwavering, conservative. Just a constitutionalist.
Yeah,
a very interesting person.
That's a great one. Well, Glenn, thank you for joining me today and sharing your vision for the 75th State District Court. And to everyone tuning in and listening in, thank you for joining us for Headlines and Heartlines. I'm Vanesa Brashier, owner of Bluebonnet News of Texas, and be sure to follow us online and subscribe so you never miss another episode. It'll be on YouTube, it will be on Spotify, and it will be on KILE Radio next week.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.